Hey there, if anybody wants to see a low tide from my beach, there is my beach over there. But this is low tide. On my beach, there's just sand going out, so it's really nice for swimming and stuff. But if you go down a little ways, you can see all these rocks and stuff. And when it's low tide, I mean, you can walk like a quarter mile out on super low tide like this. People actually go out here and they start looking for shells, fish, maybe scallops, maybe other kinds of shellfish or crabs or something kind of abandoned. Here's a little piece of coral starting to grow. There's some there. And these are old coral heads here. All this rock is actually old coral that, you know, over the years, I guess eventually died. But see, this is coming back. Or I don't know if it's coming back or dying, but one of those two. And we can go to out in California. They have a big deal about tide pools, and everybody goes see the tide pool. This is down in San Diego. Maybe it's all up and down the California coast, but here there's a piece of actual coral there. I don't know how well coral fares when it gets low tide like this, because it's out of its element with the water and that, and so maybe only little patches of it can grow here. You may have to get into deeper water to actually get to where it'll grow continuously. Now this is the seagrass here. When the ocean comes in, this sticks up like grass, like 6 inches, 12 inches, something like that. And over here we've got some coral starting to come up. You can see it right there, little pieces of coral. And again, I don't know whether it's growing or dying, but there's some more right there. There's more right there. I always like to see coral because it kind of creates its own ecosystem once you get it going real well. I'm going to build an artificial reef. The thing about it is I don't know how far out I have to go to keep my reef from being above water. See, you can go a quarter mile out there, and again, I mean, I'm going to have kayaks and that, so you know, people can paddle out. There'll be a floating island out there where they can you know, tie up their kayak, and then on the other side of the floating island there'll be the artificial reef that I'm going to build. So it may be a pretty good ways out there. I don't know if you can see this, but there's a fish trap out there. It's kind of sticking out of the water. That fish trap has been there for eternity. They move it up and down here. But I'm not going to go all the way out there because I'll wind up getting my feet all wet. But this is low tide on Bantayan, very low tide, extremely low tide on Bantayan Island. And again, like I said, you can see the water. It's coming back in. If you see the water here, I don't know if I'm pointing in the right place, but you can see like a little stream running back out. Water is, or maybe it's low tide and it's just running out of these pools back, yeah, to the main part. So this is low tide on Bantayan Island with little tiny pieces of coral, either growing or dying, one of those two. Try not to step on it because you know, I don't want it to die. I want it to grow. But when you start touching coral and stepping on it and breaking it and stuff, that's when you have you know, the coral doesn't like to be touched. So anyway, but people walk on this constantly because anytime there's a low tide, there's like 15 people out here going way out there. I mean, they go out in the water part, and where there's the water's low and fish get trapped, they'll go out there and catch fish and stuff. So they're actually walking on this all the time. And again, this is just old coral head here. This is not live coral, but it looks like there's little pieces of coral that are live. And like here's a pool, for instance, where they might come and find some trapped fish or crabs or whatever they're after. And I don't really know exactly what they're after, but See right here, here's a pool. And nothing, here's a bunch of trash. I'm going to clean up my beach so I don't have this stuff. When it goes low tide, I'm going to take a rake out there. And again, my beach is all sand, and once you get out, there's little baby seashells there, little tiny ones, like maybe this big, little tiny black ones, and they're everywhere. In fact, these are them here. See these little guys? These are little seashells, and they're everywhere, and they're on the edge of the beach. But there's millions of these, and Filipinos actually eat those. They, I guess they like boil them. They scoop up a bunch of them and boil them, and there's not much in them, but it's like a little hors d'oeuvre type snack or something, and you know, that they eat. See here, all this black here, this is shells. All those same shells. There's just a billion of them there. And a piece of glass. I like to always pick up the glass because I don't want anybody to get cut. But so that's low tide on Bantayan Island. The boats, they prop them up on these little, or kind of big pieces of bamboo, big as in thick, and so they don't sit on the bottom and I guess scratch their hull. But that's how they keep them when the tide gets low. They tie that rope from here. It goes underneath there and over to the other side, and that holds that piece of bamboo under there, so even when they're floating, that can be there when they're parked, when they're tied up, like here with this rope, they're tied to the beach. But that'll stay there, and then as the tide goes out, it just automatically sets down on that and keeps it from getting scratched up on the rocks and things. So, all right, I guess that's it for now. Getting ready to do some more stuff on the beach. We got to come up with a thing for bathrooms, a sink, a barbecue grill, and we think we may have the plan already. We've got this, as you see, all these little white stringers and the string and stuff. We're making like a little wave shape design here and building a wall, and it's going to elevate the beach, our beach over there, up, because it slopes down. You can see the slope down here. Maybe you can see the slope down there. It comes from here and slopes down. So we're going to raise this part up, and then this portion here will be lounge chairs and umbrellas, and then the rest of the beach will be run around, play and swim. You know, high tide comes way up to here, right around in here, but normal tides are about where that green line is there. That's a normal high tide there. This is a super high tide. It's about as high as it ever gets, and then low tide goes, you can see, a quarter mile out or so. So anyway, that's what we're up to now.